All right, let's step inside the courtroom. Today, we're going to demystify one of the most critical parts of any trial, the witness on the stand. It's a journey with a very specific and often pretty dramatic structure. Let's break it all down. You've seen it a million times on TV, right? The surprise witness, the dramatic confession, that big aha moment. But in reality, courtroom testimony is way more structured than that. It's a carefully choreographed process, less about sudden outbursts and more like a rigid three-act play. And it's all designed to get to the truth. So this is the fundamental sequence every single witness goes through. It's a roadmap. First, their story gets told. Then that story gets challenged. And finally, any confusion that came up gets clarified. Understanding how these three acts build on each other, well, that's the key to understanding why the whole system works the way it does. So let's start at the very beginning with Act 1, Examination in Chief. This is where the foundation of all the evidence is laid out. Okay, so what does this actually mean? Well, the lawyer who called the witness to the stand gets to guide them through their testimony. The goal isn't just to spit out a bunch of facts, it's to build a coherent story, brick by brick, that the court can actually follow. This is their chance to present their version of events. But, and this is super important, it is not a free-flowing conversation. Oh yeah, there are very strict rules for how this story can be told, especially about the kinds of questions that lawyers are allowed to ask. And here is the big one, the most important rule of this first act. No leading questions. Why? I mean, think about it. The evidence is supposed to come from the witness's memory, from their mouth, right? It's not supposed to be fed to them by their own lawyer. A leading question basically puts words in the witness's mouth, and that just undermines the whole point of their testimony. This slide just lays it out perfectly. Look at the difference. Asking, is this injury caused by a sharp weapon, just points the witness to a simple yes or no. It suggests the answer. But the correct way? What type of weapon would cause this injury? That forces the expert to give their own, unprompted opinion. And that's where the real evidence is. But, of course, like with any good rule, there is an exception. Sometimes a witness you've called to help your case, well, they turn out to be uncooperative. Or even worse, they're actively working against you. In that case, a judge can declare them a hostile witness. So, if a witness is clearly trying to hide something, or just flat out lying, or their story keeps changing, the judge can step in and make that declaration. And this flips the entire script. Suddenly, the lawyer who called them can use the aggressive tactics of cross-examination, including those leading questions, all to challenge their own witness and try to drag the truth out. And that brings us to Act 2. This is where the real drama usually begins. This is cross-examination, the part that you probably recognize from the movies, where the story that was just carefully built in Act 1 gets put to the ultimate test. Now, the opposing lawyer takes center stage. Their entire goal is to dismantle, or at least cast some serious doubt on, the testimony we just heard. They're going to look for inconsistencies, challenge memories, and expose any potential bias. And guess what? Those leading questions that were forbidden before, now they're not just allowed, they are the primary weapon. But, and this is a huge but, this is a high-stakes, high-risk game. A really aggressive cross-examination can be incredibly powerful, but it can also backfire in a spectacular way. It can end up making the lawyer look foolish and actually make the witness seem more credible to the court. So how exactly can it blow up in a lawyer's face? Let's look at a fantastic real-world example. It's from a medical negligence case, and a lawyer thought he had an expert witness totally cornered because of his lack of recent experience. Oh, you can just feel the trap being set, can't you? The lawyer is pointing out this 25-year gap, trying to paint the doctor as this outdated, irrelevant old man. It really feels like a checkmate question. Boom. Just like that. With one simple, devastatingly logical sentence, the doctor doesn't just deflect the attack. He makes the lawyer's whole line of questioning seem completely absurd. That double-edged weapon just swung right back and hit the person holding it. Beyond just clever tactics, though, cross-examination can also expose these moments of profound human emotion. After the intensity and the fire of cross-examination, the process moves into its final and really crucial phase, re-examination. This is all about damage control and making sure everything is clear. So the original lawyer gets another shot with their witness. Now, the point here isn't to introduce a bunch of new evidence, it's to repair any damage. It's all about fairness and making sure a story isn't left twisted and distorted by the very targeted and sometimes misleading questions from the other side. Here's a perfect, really simple example of how this works. Let's say during cross-examination, the opposing lawyer gets the witness to admit, yes, the injury was on my right arm, and yes, that blood spot on my shirt came from that injury. To the jury, that might sound pretty serious. But then, on re-examination, the original lawyer comes back and reveals the injury was just a simple scrape. That context is everything, and that's exactly what this stage is designed to restore. And throughout this whole three-act play, the judge is kind of the ultimate director. They can step in at any point, ask their own questions, and just make sure they have a perfectly clear picture of the evidence being presented. So courtroom testimony isn't chaos at all. It's this meticulous process of construction, deconstruction, and then clarification. This rigid structure isn't just for show, it's a filter, and it's designed to separate out ambiguity from fact in the slow, methodical pursuit of truth. And it really raises a fundamental question. Without this kind of pressure testing, could justice ever truly be served?